9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go!
Bonjour, ça va, and welcome. It's 6 minutes past 8 on 18th September 2025. But when is 2025 really? No one really knows. But either way, it's here and it's now. I'm your host, Matt Taylor, here for the next hour. I can't promise you too much, except we'll have some chat. Now, of course, there is one thing I want to just correct for the record. And this was something left over from a live stream a couple of days ago, in which Harry came in and corrected me on a certain kind of, I was talking about Muhammad. And I was talking about how I didn't really want to get involved with the Prophet Muhammad. I put it out that he apparently married a 13-year-old, but I was corrected by Harry that married at 6, consummated at 9 years old. The thing is about that kind of stuff is it was years and years and years ago. I think something like the time of King Arthur, 570 AD. And well, I don't know about you, but we've all heard of Chinese whispers, you know. So just touching upon that discussion around the Prophet Muhammad, specifically the claim that he married Aisha, I believe it was, when she was 6 and consummated the marriage when she was 9, while he was in his 50s. Yes, I agree. That is what is written in the history books and what the traditions say. But I want to make my position very clear. We live in the 21st century. Our standards, our morale, our morals even, and our expectations about childhood and adulthood are shaped by today's world. And it's dangerous, in my view, to impose those standards on someone living, I do believe, off the top of my head, 571 AD. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, time of King Arthur. In a culture and society vastly different from our own. Now, as much as we see misinformation spread today, it's entirely possible that misinformation could have been spread then too. Bear in mind, it's common knowledge that there's a lot of it. Everyone was illiterate back then. Okay, you know, you can't really rely on trustworthy records being kept. So just because something is written down in history does not mean it is beyond doubt. Especially when we all know the all about the Chinese whisper. So while there are sources that state Muhammad married at those ages, I don't personally necessarily take that as gospel truth. I recognise that in that era, marriage at what we could call a young age today was often the norm. And for that reason, I will not fall into the trap of labelling a major religion's prophet with a word that belongs to our own time and culture, namely paedophile. I don't want to get sucked into that kind of rhetoric. So I shy away from people who use that language because I don't think it leads to understanding. So I just want to reiterate my stance. It's simple. History is complex. Cultures are different. And in my opinion, I think it's unwise to judge the 7th century entirely by 21st century standards. So I just wanted to get it out of the way. While, you know, I always do like to be corrected by members of the audience, I just wanted to get across that my position then remains the same. And so I hope we can move on. Lovely. Got a nice bottle of Prosecco, which I'm enjoying. over the next hour. So another thing I wanted to talk about is television, because we've got a lot of conjecture surrounding Captain Kirk's death. There's appearing to be a subculture, subsection of the audience who are calling it out as a psyop, namely Tyler Hansen, I do believe his name, and Chris Bivey, and lots of others are jumping on board as well. And it made me think about where it all started. And obviously it did start with the introduction of the television, wouldn't it? It has to have been done. And so, it led me to ask some questions about television and, what was the mindset when it was brought in. And it's very interesting, right from the start, in the 1920s, 30s, TV was recognized as a medium to control the masses. And also, what I find particularly interesting was that it was acknowledged at the time of its conception and introduction that it defines our reality. And that is what I find most interesting and most unsettling, because that's the truth. The unsettling, the inconvenient truth about television is that it does not simply reflect reality, it constructs it. And the people who introduced that knew that at the time. So again, it doesn't simply reflect reality, it constructs it. And that's where I think it is most interesting. Because from the earliest broadcasts to the streaming giants of today, television has functioned as a filter, deciding what is visible and what is invisible, what is real and what is forgotten. Television is essentially the gatekeeper of our perception. For the average citizen, reality is limited by experience. We cannot be everywhere at once. We all rely on media to tell us what happened in the world. And it's in this sense, television has become our surrogate senses, the electronic ears and eyes of society. And herein lies the danger. Because television does not present the world as it is, it presents the world as it is chosen, curated and packaged by those behind the camera, by those in power and by those who are pulling the strings. A war zone, for example, can be framed as a triumph of liberation or as a tragedy of occupation, dependent on the broadcaster's stance. A politician can be elevated as a national saviour or torn down as a villain, depending on what clips are selected and what sound bites are repeated. Entire communities can vanish from public consciousness if the cameras never point their way. So I believe I'm right in saying that television has become not merely a medium, but the gatekeeper of our perception. One of the greatest powers of television is its ability to appear objective. Moving images feel immediate and real, more convincing than words on a page or voices on a radio. When we see something live on television, our instinct is to trust it. And that's been put to the test with the apparent, and I use apparent purposefully, the apparent assassination of Captain Kirk. But the illusion is deceptive. Every shot has an angle, every broadcast has an editor, and every story has omissions. By its very structure, television collapses complex realities into simplified narratives. The messy, contradictorial or contradictory world outside the screen becomes a neat story inside it. And stories by definition are authored. So television also defines reality across time, and that's what I'm most interested in. Television defines reality. We believe something is real because we watch it on television, and they knew this from the very conception and introduction of television. They knew it had the power to do so. And of course, we're living nearly 100 years after the introduction of television. And of course, they've got it down to a science. They've got it down to a T. Entire generations recall historical events, not through their own experiences, but through the images they see and saw on TV. The moon landing in 67, the fall of the Berlin Wall in 89, and the attacks on September 11th, 2001. These moments exist in our cultural memory, not as lived experience, not as lived reality, but as a televised spectacle. The medium does not merely record history, it creates it. And crucially, what is not broadcast is forgotten. Wars, atrocities, protests, or scandals that never make it to air simply vanish from collective consciousness. In this way, television acts as an editor of history itself, and vice versa. Whatever television broadcasts are stuck in our collective memory, don't go away. We all know where we were on the moon landing. We all know what we were doing when we saw these people hacking away at the Berlin Wall. And of course, we all know where we were on the attacks of September the 11th. And even I'm throwing in the death of Princess Diana. So we find ourselves in a position in which reality, as we know it, is owned by the powerful, because only the powerful control television. And that's because television defines reality. Those who control television wield an extraordinary form of power. Governments, corporations, and media empires recognized this from the start. They understood that power is broadcast, is the power to construct consensus. And maybe that was why they introduced television. Because the governments and corporations and the media empires knew from the start that television is able to construct reality. Television did not simply describe society, it instructed it on what to believe, who to trust, and what to aspire to. It's a borrowed reality. From the moment the first images crackled onto screen, television began redefining our sense of reality. It's not a mirror, but a lens. And like any lens, it can distort, magnify, or conceal. We like to believe that we see the world through television, but in truth, we see the world as others have chosen for us to see it from their end, not ours. And from the very start, that reality was never ours to define. And that's what I'm finding most interesting in learning more about television. And so we come to a point where if you throw away the matrix, you come to the conclusion that you cannot in any way, shape or form believe anything you see on the TV. Strange, but true. So anyway, everyone, I hope you've all had a good day. what I like to do is spread the joy, which is why you're finding me going live on Matt Taylor's Nightmare. And if you haven't done so already, please, like and subscribe, because only then can you get the full experience of the Matt Taylor experience, which we all like. It's like Marmite, love or hate, and all that kind of stuff. So I've had a good day by exposing certain degenerates out there, and we all have a duty. We all have a duty to expose those individuals who are bringing harm to our communities. I'm a big believer in citizens on patrol, that we don't leave it to the police to make our communities safer. We take responsibility ourselves and be proactive in how we keep our communities safe. One such video I done today shines the light on a particular degenerate in our community who has spread colossal pain and suffering upon his victims. And there's lots of people like that. And it all depends on what side of the fence you're looking at, what perception you view the situation from. And of course, you don't just need a television to decide your perception. Anyway, let me show you this.
So what's the truth about you beating up your dog?
About me beating up my dog? My dog's never been beaten up. She was disciplined for running out in front of 2 cars. The papers made it out to be something completely different to what it was. I beat the crap out of my dog and then send her to the groomers. Yeah, sounds like a great idea. Great one, that.
Okay.
Better looked after than most people's children.
So what did you do to your dog?
What did I do? Smacked her ass.
Just once, yeah?
No, she had more than one smack on the ass.
Just a smack, yeah?
Section 4 of the animal welfare legislation. That's why.
Just a smack, was it?
No, it was more than one smack. She had my fist in front of her face when she jumped off at me. So she did actually get my fist on the end of her nose. But she's.
Well, you punched her.
I made my fist in front of her face because I was angry with her. But at the end of the day, Chloe at no point was ever injured by me. Quite frankly,
Did you punch your dog on this thing?
It's a simple, mate. Did you punch your dog? I can't even be in there. Did you punch your dog?
What? I waved my fist in front of my dog's face.
Right, you didn't punch your dog up.
Contact was made because she jumped up, yes.
Well, you didn't raise it in her face then. You punched it, didn't you? Come on, man.
No, I waved my fist in front of her. I was angry. Can't you listen to words?
You just said I asked you if it was a smack. I asked you if it was a smack. You could have just said yes, it was a smack.
Shit happens. Contact was made because she jumped up at it. Does that sound like a scared dog?
I mean, sometimes it's just too easy. And in the case of the degenerate has just been shown on screen, it's just too easy. And I actually took a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment and satisfaction from analysing what was said during that exchange between Mr. Degenerate and Taffy. Talking about Taffy, good to see him go live. Apparently he did go to London. But there's a lot of misinformation going around, isn't it? And that's what I meant by perceiving reality via third parties. Because if you don't see it for yourself with your own 2 eyes, the only other way to learn what happened is through television or through somebody else telling you what happened. And more often than not, or what we've come to see in this day and age, that it's all bullshit. I asked someone, did Taffy make it to London? And the answer came back, no. But yet he did. And that's something we were always taught in the police training. Primary sources of information. You always got to go to the primary source. But yeah, it was really interesting to analyze the words of Mr. Degenerate and see the difference of what AJ says about beating up his dog as to what the papers said. And I can't believe people buy his side of the story. And that actually links into what I'm saying. People are willing to be perceived by third parties rather than seeing the situation for themselves and comprehending it through their own five senses. And some of the phrases he came up with, you know, he says something like, you know, I couldn't have been cruel to my dog because I took her to the groomers afterwards. But isn't that in itself exactly what perpetrators of domestic violence does or do? The violence, guilt and grooming, the parallels between domestic abuse and AJ's defence. Now, when confronted with his conviction for animal cruelty, AJ dismissed the violence by making a disturbing remark. I beat the crap out of my dog and then sent her to the groomers. On the surface, this may sound flippant, an attempt to trivialise the seriousness of the charge. But when we peel back the layers, Lashbrook's words open a chilling window into the psychology of abuse. So I do believe within the blurb, you can find some links that will take you to Substack. And you can read further this in-depth analysis of AJ's own words. And I've done this in retaliation for AJ's public statement yesterday that I'd been charged for the attempted rape of 3 young boys. You know, and that's very serious because I live in a neighbourhood that if my neighbours believed that to be true, I would be a dead man. And I kid you not, I would be a dead man. And that was the reason why I took such satisfaction in like really looking at his words that he uses. And I think this is something the trolls seem to forget, that the standards they hold others to is also the standard they can be held to. And I like to think I've done a good job with AJ today doing that. Now there's another individual who I'm very pleased who has come out of the woodwork, because I mean I've been operating in this crazy corner of YouTube up to 10 years now, and I've made lots of friends and I've made lots of enemies, and there are some perceived enemies that I would love to be friends with, and this is one particular bloke.
Fucking malicious, horrible slag she was, and the shit she pulled, giving all that fucking material to fucking fat Failer, that useless tub of shit. When's he going to get sent to prison? It's only a matter of time before the judge goes, right, you cunt, you're not getting suspended, you're going down for 3 fucking months. You're going to have some prison food. See how you like that, you bastard. Yeah, hopefully. He needs teaching a lesson. And he'd shit himself in prison. He acts like he's a big hard cunt, and he lies and says he served in the military. He didn't serve a day. He fucking went for training, and they kicked him out after a few weeks for being fucking useless. A bullshitter. A Walter Mitty.
I've missed him. I have missed him so much. And it's great that he's back doing what he does best. And, you know, I generally want to be able to come onto a screen and say, hi, how you doing? But sadly, there's so much, what's the word I'm looking for there? What's the word I'm looking for? There's so much hatred still out there. And that's a shame, man. That is a shame, because it doesn't have to be like that. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't have to be like that. We can all live in harmony. We can all live in peace. We can all live in bliss. I know it took me a long time to think of a word, but what I'm trying to say is we can all live like a happy family. Yeah? So, what else is there today? Oh, yeah. So, Donald Trump is finishing up his state visit. And I've been watching a lot of the mainstream media talk about him. And what it seems to be is, according to the mainstream media, I mean, I myself have never met the guy, okay? So I'll hear what people say about him. I myself have never met him, and my opinion of him isn't, I'm not 100% in with his cult as such, but I'm always skeptical of people in power, only because of what we are led to believe that people have to do to attain those positions of power. So, like I said, I'm not full on MAGA. I have an opinion which I'm keeping to myself. But what I am finding interesting is that the mainstream media have got an opinion of Trump, and that is he is a bully. He is a narcissist, he's a bully, and he's corrupt. And that is the mainstream media's opinion of Trump. And I think that's a fair assumption to make. But what is unsavory, and what I don't like watching, is how they are intentionally siding with the bully. They're kissing the bully's ass so they can get a share of the pocket money. They won't get beaten up. And I don't think that's good leadership. I don't think it's good leadership kissing the bully's ass. I don't think it's good leadership appeasing the bully just so you don't get beaten up and that you can get a share of the pocket money. And seeing our king, our prime minister, cozy up and kiss ass, for want of a better term, someone who we all know they badmouth behind his back, is absolutely cowardly. And I find it very unsavory. You know, if you've got a conviction, stick to that conviction. Don't throw that conviction out the window just so you can appease the bully, get a share of the lunch money, and stop yourself getting beaten up. I don't buy into it. And but what can you do? That's the way of the world today, isn't it? No one's willing to go it themselves, to stand on their own 2 feet. But interesting times. I am enjoying world events. Of course, we've still got the 3i Atlas steaming towards us. A bit of an update on the Andrew Johnson. I'll tell you what I've done, and I feel ashamed about it. I've been ghosting Andrew Johnson because, and it's not a reflection on Matt Taylor TV, it's a reflection on my audience, quite frankly. I don't trust you, the audience, to be nice people if he comes on. Andrew Johnson is a very intelligent man. And I'm saying certain sections of my audience are very stupid, crude, and nasty. And I don't want to inflict such an intelligent guy as Andrew Johnson on to the section of my audience, which really is a truth about my audience. Matt Taylor TV appeals to the base level of humanity. Now, of course, there's always exceptions to the rule. I was talking about this yesterday. Brian, PC, Katie, Mandy, there's always exceptions to the rule. But really, and it's an eye-opener for me, and it's something, a bitter pill that I have to swallow. Matt Taylor TV does target and appeals the base, the Boit, I do think it is, the bottom of the barrel of YouTube. And that's something I have to take on board. That's something I've got to take on the chin. I've got to realise that my audience aren't the most refined, the most intelligent. And of course, I do want to make it clear, there are exceptions to the rule. I'm not putting everyone in that category of stupid, crass, and nasty, because there are very intelligent, kind, and thoughtful people in the audience, and that's actually what makes it worthwhile for me. While we do get the base crass, the base stupidity, and the base nastiness of certain members of the audience, we also get the exact opposite. And note to myself, I went on to Taffy's to say hello. And of course, the first comment was from Rule Britannia, calling me a pedo and telling me to stay away. I mean, yeah, I understand it, because I did badmouth Rule Britannia, but that's the example which I want to get. And it's okay. It's okay. For me personally, as long as the people who are in my life, the people who I see, and the people who I love and who love me, as long as we are real, it does not matter what's said on YouTube, because ultimately we've all got superpowers behind the keyboard. We're always brave behind the keyboard. Oh, that reminds me of something. I just like to play this. And if you haven't done so already, you got to make sure you check out Danny West TV. It's just that Danny West doesn't tell you where or when he's live. I did find it funny because Justin was taking the piss out of him today for that. Yes, I know. What have I got there? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and so if you haven't done so already, check out Substack. I've done a comprehensive article on Substack. There we go. And also check out Guerrilla Democracy News on WordPress. I'll put that in the link. And there's another Guerrilla Democracy News WordPress article for you. Okay, so I have got a rolling banner. There we go, going across the screen. If you're interested in reading more blogs from me, or you're welcome to do so. Range from Taylor's Kangaroo Court to Matt Taylor Writer to the Gospel of Matt Taylor to Guerrilla Democracy on Blogspot to Matt Taylor TV pre-forums. There's always something there for you. It's what I love doing most. I do get a personal satisfaction from blogging, and of course it's made all the more easy now with AI. I work with AI on pretty much everything I do. The only time I don't use AI is when I'm writing my novel. And that's coming along slowly, to be fair. But I always try and pump out a certain number of words a day. I don't always achieve it, but listen, it's good to have purpose. It's good to have a goal. And listen, don't beat yourself up if you don't match that goal. That's my opinion anyway. No, but listen, I'm a middle-aged bloke. I've been around YouTube for a year now. I've made friends, I've made enemies. New people are coming in. And I'm looking forward to a bright future, really. I'm looking forward to the lies being exposed and the truth being acknowledged. And I think until that happens, we're never going to find closure, and we're never going to progress, because too many people are trapped in the false matrix. Too many good people are arguing the lie, are protecting the liars and pissing on the truth. And that's heartbreaking to see. It's heartbreaking to see. And in my case, I'd love to tell you my truth, but court orders prevent me from doing so. And that alone tells you that the establishment are covering up the truth. And we all need to ask ourselves, why are they covering up the truth? And I think, regrettably, the answer as to why the great and powerful, the governments, corporations are covering the truth is because they are committing crimes on an industrial scale across the globe, be it by killing us or crimes against children. Essentially, it's all coming down to money. We are the cattle, we are the herd. And because there's so many of us, they can slaughter as much as they want to. And that's the why they rely on television to sell us the perception of the world that they want us to perceive. And only until their lies are exposed, will we enter the golden era, the golden age. And, you know, I'm still young enough to hope that the golden age will come in my lifetime. But then again, you know, I could be taken from this mortal realm at any point. You know, it's all in the hands of God, in my opinion. And of course, I've got a part to play. I was watching something on TV and they said a story about this girl who was saved by the sheriff from a kidnap scenario. And the sheriff managed to get to her in time before she was hurt in any way. And the local town in which she came from, they were so glad that the girl was saved that they planned a big festival day to celebrate this young girl being saved from the clutches of evil. And on the way to the town celebration, in which the mayor was going to come out and give a medal to the sheriff who saved the kid, the father stopped off to buy his daughter an ice cream. And then driving into town, a forklift truck or a truck lost control on the road, smashed into their truck, and the little girl went flying through the window, died on impact. And of course, there was no celebration that day. But the reason I'm saying it is that we never know. We never know when we're going to get pulled from this mortal realm we call life. And that's the reason why I wake up every day with a smile on my face, that I've got another day to make a video and to put the boot in to some of these degenerates. I mean, I'm laughing because it's so easy. It is so easy. These trolls make it so easy, but yet they also make it such a fun thing to do. They are fun guys, and I'll raise my glass to the mushrooms. They all are. No, but it makes YouTube worthwhile, basically. So what else can I play? What else can I play to entertain you, quite frankly? Oh, there's a call coming. Good. I will play a little song, maybe. Drama. What's that song? I love that song. And this was negative people like Drama, like Oxygen. This is good. I hope you enjoy it.
Negative people make drama like oxygen. What a shame some haven't moved on. Oh well, never mind. Stay positive as you always do, and it will take their breath away. Negative people need drama like oxygen. What a shame some haven't moved on. Oh well, never mind. Stay positive as you always do, and it will take their breath away. Negative people need drama like oxygen. What a shame some haven't moved on. Oh well, never mind. Stay positive as you always do, and it will take their breath away. Need drama like oxygen. What a shame some haven't moved on. Oh well, never mind. Stay positive as you always do, and it will take their breath away. Negative people need drama like oxygen. What a shame some haven't moved on. Oh well, never mind. Stay their breath away. And it will take their breath away.
And that's when you realise you're unmuted. Typical. So yeah, as I was saying to myself just then, I don't know what it says about me, but I still enjoy YouTube. I still enjoy YouTube, even with all the aggro, even with all the lies and the bullshit and the mud being thrown about. I mean, I woke up today and the first thing I heard, or the first thing I watched, was what the incel from Preston had to say about me. And it gave me purpose. It gave me purpose to come down and clip that piece of what he said and turn it into a cartoon. I'm not angry with what he said. I'm happy that he said it, because it gives me the opportunity to respond. And as I always say to my audience, any and all engagement I turn into content. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'm all for the game. I'm all for the fight. I'm all for having a scrap. I'm all for slinging the mud. Because it's fun. And it's genuine. And actually, it's real life. And it's worthwhile. Important. It's important that I respond to someone going out there saying that I was charged for the attempted rape of 3 young boys. You know, it's important that I address that. And it's important that I apply the same standard that people apply upon me, that I apply those same standards onto them. I found that his defence in saying that I'd been charged for attempting rape of 3 young boys was that I had said it. They were my own words. Obviously, that's false, you know, and gaslighting, but that's what I come to expect. And so it gave me the emphasis and the purpose to analyse his own words. In the same way as he alleged I said something, I can then, with authority and reason and like justification, then look at what he says in defense of his own actions and just realise what a load of crap he comes out with. To imply a dog jumped up repeatedly and struck his fist is absolutely laughable. But what is also equally laughable is there's certain members of the audience who would buy that. Who would go, oh, okay, Dan. Okay. If that's what you said happened, I believe you. I believe you're a lovely bloke and that you are only disciplining your dog because it made you angry. You know what I mean? Oh. So listen, Don't stop what you're doing, okay? Regardless of what side of the fence you're on, regardless of what camp you're in. If you've found a position in our crazy corner of YouTube, hold that position and keep doing what you're doing, because it's too late to change sides now, okay? It's too late to change sides. Where you find yourself is where you're going to stay, and you have to hold that ground. And all I want to say is good luck. I'll see you at the end of it, and we'll find out who was on the right side of history, who believed the bullshit, and who called out the bullshit for it being bullshit. Because we'll find out in the next couple of years. It may be sooner. We'll find out who the fucktards are, who the idiots are. We'll find out who had the sense to see the truth for what it is and to see the lies for what they are. There'll be no jumping fences anymore. There'll be no, oh, no. I was always on your side. No. No. Too late for that. It's too late for that. And listen, no hard feelings, because I certainly don't harbour any hard feelings towards anyone out there. You know, I'm not going to have a go at a scorpion for stinging anyone. I'm not going to have a go at the scorpion. It's the scorpion's nature to sting. And so you crack on. You crack on doing what you feel is the right thing to do. And I'm going to crack on having absolute fun and enjoyment in responding to your deeds and actions. Because I generally do find them interesting. I find it fascinating. I found it fascinating by applying the same standards that you apply upon me, that I apply upon you. And the work I've done today on AJ Lashbrook, fascinating. It really is fascinating. And of course, one way or another, if you look across the board of my presence on YouTube, you'll find some links to the Substack, and you'll find links to guerrillademocracynews.wordpress.com. So crack on, and I hope you enjoy my work, and I hope my work educates you and entertains you. And that was something I was talking earlier on at the start of the hour about how television. So it seems like from the start, from the conceptions of TV, Germany used television as a propaganda tool. America used television as a commercial tool. And the British used television as an educational tool. But be it propaganda, commercial, or educational, it was all for their benefit and not ours. And so I'm really having my eyes open to the reason television was introduced. And they knew from the very conception and introduction of TV that they could control our perception of reality. And so all I want to say is be careful what you see on our television screens. Because in all likelihood, it's all make-believe. And I have trouble getting my head around that. But I think it's an area of thought and discussion that we have to go if I are serious in breaking out of the matrix. To break out of the matrix, we have to acknowledge that what we see on our television screens is make-believe, isn't a true reflection of reality. And that, for me, is complete and bloody mind-blowing, I tell you. It's bloody mind-blowing. But then again, the world is a mind-blowing realm of fantasy, for want of a better word. You know, it's absolutely gobsmacking, the world in which we live in. And I'm so glad I'm alive in this time and space with you, because I've come to really enjoy your company, the good and the bad. And today I had that realization that you give me purpose. What does that say about me? I don't know. But I'm enjoying it. I'm finding value in it. I'm finding satisfaction and fulfillment. And I have to, in all sincerity and honesty, thank you for that. Thank you for being you, so I can have a good laugh, so I can broaden my horizons and expand my understanding of humanity by looking at what you do, by understanding what makes you tick. And quite frankly, I wouldn't want it any other way. So, thank you ever so much for joining me this hour. Please make sure you endeavour to subscribe to all my TV channels to get the best experience of Matt Taylor TV. And on that note, I'd just like to say, let's do it again soon.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go!